All right, welcome back. Today we are diving headfirst into a really game-changing chapter of The Disappearing Tower. We're breaking down Chapter 80, a chapter where our hero, Jack, starts to question everything, not just the world, but her own mind.
So let's just start with this question. What would you do if you arrived somewhere you knew like the back of your hand, saw something totally impossible, and then by the next morning, it was gone? That is the exact nightmare Jackie walks into. And this one impossible clue, it kicks off a personal crisis that changes everything. And this is where her mind goes immediately. After she confirms that the second tower she knows she saw is just gone, her first terrifying thought is this: I am going crazy, seeing things that aren't there. So this isn't just about solving a puzzle. It's about her fighting a battle to trust her own perception of reality.
Okay, let's start with that initial shock. I mean, how do you even begin to process something like that? A massive stone tower that seems to have just vanished, and you're the only one who even remembers seeing it.
So just to recap the scene, Jack gets to the Tregaron estate in the middle of this wild thunderstorm. A huge flash of lightning lights up the sky and she sees it. Not one tower, but two. A perfect mirror image of the one she grew up with. But when she wakes up, there's just the one tower. No debris, no signs of demolition, just nothing.
And this is where things get so interesting, because the conflict isn't just about a physical object anymore, it's a clash of realities. On one side, you've got Jake's absolute certainty of what she saw, and on the other, you have literally everyone else at the estate telling her she's mistaken, that the lightning was playing tricks on her eyes. For Jake, whose mind is already a whirlwind, this is a direct attack on her sanity.
So feeling totally lost, and with her ADHD sending her senses into overdrive, Jake does what she always does to get centered. She retreats to the hedge maze. It's her safe space, a place where the logical, twisting paths help her straighten out her own thoughts. She's looking for a rational anchor in a world that's gone crazy, but she finds something else entirely. Right in the heart of the maze, a place she's always considered her own private sanctuary, she finds a woman just sitting there, meditating. And this isn't just any guest. This is Aya Asada, and it becomes very clear her being here is no accident.
So we find out this is Aya Asada, a self-described religious advisor. Now, for a hardcore rationalist like Jack, that title is a giant red flag. But Aya's pretty clever. She already knows, thanks to the House Grapevine, all about Jack's vision of the second tower, and she uses that knowledge to connect with her.
And this is such a key moment. Jock, the firm agnostic, and Aya, the spiritual guru, find common ground almost immediately. They literally shake on it, promising not to preach at each other. They're building a foundation of mutual respect right from the get-go, which is going to be super important later.
You know, that brief encounter with Aya seems to be exactly what Jock needed. It helps her pivot from that spiraling confusion to a clear, proactive mindset. She's done questioning her sanity. Now she's ready to investigate what happened to her missing grandfather, the Colonel. And this is just so perfectly Jacques, right? She's taking all that chaotic mental energy, all that ADHD hyperfocus, and channeling it into a clear, methodical plan. In a world that makes zero sense, this to-do list is her anchor. It's the one logical thing she can hold on to.
So first stop is the Colonel's study. It's a disaster zone of paperwork. As she starts sifting through everything, just hoping for any little clue about where he could have gone, she finds something that, well, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
She finds these sketches of the mansion's tower, but they're wrong. The windows are on the wrong side, the door is on the wrong side. They're drawn as a perfect mirror image. It's as if her grandfather was looking at a reflection of the tower, or maybe, just maybe, he was looking at a second identical one. And just like that, Jock has the first piece of physical evidence that she might not be crazy.
Okay, so the investigation continues that night at dinner, and this is where the mystery just goes to a whole other level. Jock sits down with the other residents, including Aya, and the whole thing takes a sharp turn into the metaphysical.
And here it is, the bombshell. Jack learns that Aya wasn't just a guest. Her grandfather had specifically sought her out. The Colonel found Aya in London and was, in her words, almost desperate for her to come to Tregaron right after something strange and unexplained had happened to him. And this just perfectly lays out the two opposing worldviews at play here. You've got Jock's hardline, evidence-based reality, when we die, end of story. And then you have Aya, who's about to introduce a theory that doesn't just bend the rules of reality, it shatters them.
So Aya lays it all out. Her whole career is built on the theory that other worlds, or other dimensions, actually exist, and that we can reach them.
She says it's possible through intense focus, like deep meditation, or even through the use of psychedelics to briefly break down the barrier between our world and others.
Now, Aya is smart. She knows she's talking to a major skeptic. So to back up this wild theory, she doesn't just talk philosophy, she gives Jacques data. She explains she was part of a documentary crew filming a scientific study at a Zen monastery. They were documenting the experiences of monks who, under controlled conditions, claimed to have visited other realities. One even saw a literal gate to paradise. Aya is speaking Jacques' language now, documented, observable evidence.
And that's the connection. Aya is convinced that whatever this strange thing was that happened to the colonel, it made him believe in her theories. He needed her expertise to either understand what he'd seen, or maybe to figure out how to get back there.
So, that's where we're left. We have a missing grandfather, a tower that played peekaboo with reality, a mysterious mirrored sketch, and now a credible theory about alternate dimensions. The search for a missing person has suddenly become a search for a missing reality. The real question is, where on earth does the investigation go from here?